quick update on the kit. I've got all my decals on, and most of these decals are really fiddly. All the little red triangles, all the little writings that go on, they're really small, so you really have to take your time and be patient with it and put them on. But they all got on, so I did a little quick test fit here to get the pieces on so I could kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like. I still need to do the sealing to seal the decals on, and then do some weathering, the final weathering, and then seal that also, and then we can move on to the lighting, which is next. Yeah, I quickly wanted to show you some of the weathering. This side here I've already done some weathering on, and this side I haven't. I found some reference photos. I'll put the link in the description. It's from the Miniatures, Models, and Magic website, and they have a lot of really good reference on all kinds of kits, from Star Wars to Star Trek, and so on. So that's what I'm basing mine on. I'm not doing it exactly like it, but it does have the studio scale gray striped Snowspeeder, or Luke Snowspeeder. So you can kind of see the difference from the clean side to the weathered side. You can see I'm threading in some fiber optics for my lighting. These are 0.25 millimeter fiber optics. I'll color the tips to the appropriate color once I get everything ran, with some Tamiya clear red and some Tamiya clear orange. And the white will obviously just stay white. That's looking pretty good. I've ran all my fiber optics through the cockpit pieces. This is 0.25 fiber optic. It's colored fiber optics, but as I was threading them through the holes, I realized that the color is on the outside of the fiber optic. So as it was pulling through the hole, a lot of the color came off, and then they just became white. So what I had to do for the red lights is I had to take a alcohol marker. This is a Copic marker, and color the tips so that I'd get my red. I've already glued them all to the backs of the pieces where they come through so they won't pull out. I did mushroom them all, but I wanted to make sure they didn't pull out, and I just used your canopy glue for that. So once it dries, it does give a good hard seal. This is the micro drill bit that I used in my pin vise, which is also 0.25. I bought a 50 pack, which, as you can see, it comes with 10 of each. 10 0.2, 10 0.25, 0.3, 0.35, and 4. This cost me $50, but I've already broken 3 because they're such small bits, and any pressure to either side and they'll just snap. Okay, I'm working on the stand. These are $2 stands. There's a place in San Francisco I buy them from, and I bought several for smaller kits. It takes 3 AAA batteries. It has an on-off switch here on the side, and it also has an adapter for a wall plug-in. So I took one of these and I took it apart. 4 screws on the bottom underneath the foot pads, and tested it. It has these 3 little LED lights that cycle through. So I'll save that, but I'm going to cut it off. For the top part, what I did was I got rid of the top piece, which was this one, And I cut a piece of styrene. Not sure how thick it is. It looks like it's about 3/16. And I found my center. The way you find a center is you draw a line from corner to corner, and it'll give you your center mark. So I used my drill press and I cut my hole. I cut my piece of aluminum rod. I don't have any brass. Usually I like to use brass because it's stronger, but this kit doesn't weigh anything and it's a short distance, so it should be sturdy enough and strong enough to hold it. So on the bottom of my speeder, I have my hole drilled here for my stand for the rod. Then on the other side, this lip here that the seat goes on, I cut a piece of the same styrene, the same width, so it doesn't mess with putting my seat on. And then drilled a little bitty hole on top of there for my magnet wire to come through. And it'll also keep the rod from pushing all the way through. So I set it together and it works like that. I did it kind of short because the snow speeders did travel short to the ground, real low to the ground. So this is going to work really, really well. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get all 4 of these lights in this thing, because as you can see I've got 2 blinking LEDs here, one blinking faster than the other. And when I bought them I didn't realize, because they didn't say what the megahertz was to tell me what the flashing rate would be. But the fact that one's faster than the other will make it look even better with the lights blinking on the inside. And here I have a flickering light, which I'm going to use on the display panels, because if you look at the movie, those lights in there are flickering. And then for the straight lights, just this straight LED right here. Quick light test here. I've connected my 4 LEDs to my positive and negative for my stand. So on, everything's working. Off, on. I have burn tested these LEDs already. I burn tested them for about 12 hours. Off. Alright. Good. I got all my cockpit pieces in. I did have to trim some edges of the main body, the top part where my fiber optics are, because I don't want any binding on my fiber optics. But here are all the all the fiber optics. Got it all in there, working on connecting my fiber optics. I glued a little piece of tube styrene here in the back so that I could run all my fibers from both sides into this tube. This is just temporary. But I've also used tube styrene to encase my LEDs, which I will glue my LEDs, and then I will put some tulip on the backs to light block the LEDs. My blinking ones, I have them separated out and I just stuck them through the holes that are already in the kit just to keep them out of my way. So now what I'm going to do is take some 5-minute epoxy and secure all the static fiber optics so that they won't move. So whatever I do on the end here, they won't pull out, nothing will happen to them. I painted my base flat black. This is the top. If you remember, I had a piece of white styrene glued to the top. So what I did is I went in and sanded the bevel that was already there to get it down nice and smooth. And then I filled it with some perfect plastic putty and sanded and then filled again. This is my second coat, and I coated it with Rust-Oleum Ultra Cover, the 2-time. It's good thick stuff. It's really good for light blocking also, which I'll show you now. I went ahead while I was painting the base, I painted my tubes for my lights, and I'll turn this one on and show you. Now I got my light working and there's no light leaks. If there are any, once I put all this in, I can still take some tulip and put it in the spots where the light's leaking to take care of that. This is the 5-minute 2-part epoxy that I'll be using, Bob Smith Industries. I get it in the big jug because it winds up being cheaper in the long run and it'll last you a long time. As you can see, I've added a couple more tubes to help hold my optics in place. Put a couple of braces here and here to keep them down so they won't get pinched when I glue the bottom to the top. Do a quick light test here. I've got my fiber optics for my solid LED in this tube that I glued to the LED. So let's turn it on. Alright, it's working. Get a little closer. Awesome, it's coming out really awesome. Alright, now I got 3 more to go. I'm hooking up my lights. I've got all my power, my wires and everything set. I don't have them glued in yet, but what I'm doing is that I'm 5-minute epoxying the base of my tube styrene here, and then what I'm doing is, once it's dry, is cutting off the optics. Like that. So what I can do now is I can take my optics and I can insert them into my lights. Just like that. Alright, I've got all my lights and my fiber optics, everything hooked up. It doesn't look that good, but it all does work. Flip it over. Now you can see the pretty lights. Now I need to go in and light block some areas on the inside. Okay, I'm getting real close to completion. I actually had to go in and replace 2 of the LEDs because the wire broke on 2 of them right where the resistor is. So I had to redo that, and that took most of the day yesterday. But I did get it fixed, and I got my rod mounted on the bottom with some 5-minute epoxy. And I just have the rest of this just placed on here because I still have to put the pilots in and do some little touch-ups and details here and there. Let me take the canopy off here if I can, because it's all a pretty good tight fit. But as you can see, the lights are working. And I do still have to, like I said, do some details. I need to go in with the Tamiya. I tried my markers again and they just wouldn't do what I want them to do, so I'm going to get my Tamiya red, my Tamiya orange, and put some color on some of these LEDs. The pros, though, this is a really really awesome kit, like all the Bandais that I've put together. This is a great kit. Everything fits together really well. It goes together really well. And as you can see, once you spend the time to airbrush it and paint it and weather it and detail it, it comes out looking really, really nice. So that's going to do it for part 3. The last one will be the finale, which I'll upload in a couple of days. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for subscribing, and we'll be back with the finale and then another kit build.